Hi, hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam Harrison and I read, review and discuss fantasy and science fiction books. Today, it is another Wandering In episode. I think this is episode 10. So, pop the party poppers, have a party. We've reached a milestone, 10 weeks in a row. Pretty cool to have done that, to be honest. We are reading today, so I've looked up the word counts in advance, as I said I was going to start doing. We're reading chapter 131, so 31 of book 1. We're reading chapter 31 and 32R, which means it's a Ryoka chapter. So pretty excited about that. Last week we lost Klibich, and that was very sad because he was one of my favourite characters, and I kind of assumed he was safe because I thought he was in the merch advert, but maybe that's Pawn, who we met last week. So I think the best thing to do right now is to get straight into things. So let's start reading chapter 1.31, chapter 31 of book 1. I don't know why I keep saying 1.31. I guess it's because that's what's actually on the screen in front of me when I'm looking at the Wandering In. Anyway, let's get reading and I'll talk to you guys in a minute. Cool, so another chess chapter, which isn't bad because I do conceptually enjoy chess. I think I talked about it in previous videos that I'm quite bad at it, even though I'm good at other strategy games and other sort of strategy stuff. Something about chess, and I think it's the simplicity of it. I feel like I'm always looking for more. This isn't about chess, this is about the Wandering In. Which is the Wandering In about chess? Anyway, so this was a really good one. I think the interesting stuff that we have in this one is obviously Pisces telling us how leveling works. So, and also Erin gains some levels. So let's talk about levels quickly. So she gains Innkeeper level 11, and apparently Kershia and I've forgotten her name, Celis say that most people their age have 14 levels, but she's gained 10 levels in a couple of months, which is insane. And she then levels to 11 at the end of the chapter, and then so she's got Innkeeper level 11 and 2 new skills. One of the skills is green. Now, commenters, you can probably tell me what the green skill means. So she's gained lesser strength, so I guess carrying stuff, or maybe it's meant to be mental strength. We'll find out. But Immortal Moment. So it's a green skill. In video games, different coloured stuff is more rare, but I know that in Wandering In, Pirate Ubba uses different colours to denote different meanings. So if I don't need to know that, and it will be explained later, you don't need to say anything in the comments. But if it's something that the fandom has kind of inferred, then please feel free to tell me in the comments what the green means. I assume it's something to do with the Immortal game that she showed Pawn and the Antinium. Really interesting to see the way that the Antinium are working now with Pawn. So it feels almost like I think she said there was 100 Antinium at the inn. Is it 100? I feel like it can't be that many. Or I don't know how many Antinium there are in the hive. So let's just say 100, because I'm sure I read 100. So say the 100 Antinium are there, and that Pawn is using them almost like extra processing power, like when you plug in an external graphics card or something into your laptop. So really interesting to see more Antinium stuff. Are those Antinium now slaved, as it were? Slaved using computer terminology, not slavery. Are they slaved to Pawn? Pawn seems probably sticking around at the inn. Are they sticking around at the inn? We'll have to find out. Be interesting if like they built a new Antinium hive under the inn or something. I feel like because the inn is on a hill, there's got to be something under the inn. Does that make sense? Like it feels like to me, like you don't put a major location on top of a hill unless there's a reason for it. So yeah, I'm sure Pirate Arbor has their reasoning, and we will find out at another point. Um, yeah, this was really good. So we learned a lot about leveling, and the principal thing that we learned about leveling in this one is that you only level in something if you take it seriously. So runners in the world, hobbyist runners, for example, can go and just go for a jog. They'll go for a jog for exercise, for example, and not gain levels in the running skill. Whereas runners who treat it seriously and take it as a vocation are able to gain levels. So it's kind of like in the running world, for example, in our world, you'll get people who refer to themselves as non-elite runners. So the way that they see themselves is that they are good runners, but they aren't professional. And then you see, professional runners, elite runners, etc. So interesting. I like the way that they talk about the leveling stuff. It does feel like Erin is kind of giving herself away to the rest of the assembled supporting characters there. It's good to see more Celis, good to see more Kershia, who I do like. Oleza, I like that Oleza and Pisces just kind of turned up. And that everyone kind of seems to have forgotten they're supposed to be arresting Pisces. Maybe Oleza just doesn't know. But that's kind of funny. So good chapter. I mean, I say every week, it's always a good chapter. I did especially like this one because we got a lot of world building, but we also got a lot of emotion from Erin. So I think it's best to go straight into the next chapter, which will probably be kind of starting something new because it's a Ryoka chapter. And I will speak to you guys in what will be probably like 20 minutes for me, but like 10 seconds for you. 10 seconds? It'll be instant for you. I know it's instant because I edit these videos. Okay, we're back. So that was some time with Ryoka. Story development there. Interesting, I had forgotten that Ryoka was injured, and B, kind of almost forgotten about the whole chapter with the adventurers. I think that mostly because that was a really long chapter and that was kind of the beginning of it. It was a few weeks ago now, probably also when I read it. So we have Ryoka is kind of convalescing in an inn, and Garia comes to see her, and Garia's like, "Oh, couldn't the healer fix your leg?" And Ryoka's like, "No, go away. I'm trying to read." Then Persua and her cronies who were responsible for the breaking of the leg come in, and they start trying to hassle Ryoka, and Ryoka's like actively trying to attack them, but Garia is too strong and is holding her down. And then the adventurers come in, the Minotaur and his group of people, and we get to meet a few of those characters. And they talk about how they scare off Persua, and then they're like, we don't like runners. The only good runner is Ryoka and you, who are her friend. And that was quite interesting. And it feels like to me that there is some story here, like maybe Ryoka's going to join that crew. Although Calruz is the name of the Minotaur, and he like tries to flirt with her, and she punches him through a wall. So like, there's a lot of funny stuff in this chapter. This is a good one. Again, as always, I in the past have preferred the Ryoka chapters sometimes to the Erin chapters, but having these two back to back, I preferred the Erin chapter. So I preferred chapter 31 to chapter 32. This was a good one though, and it's really annoying because like I have plans now. I'm going to go out for a run or something like that. run or a walk or something, get a bit of fresh air. And if I was reading book 2, then I could take the audiobook with me and I could continue to listen. So that's one of the reasons I'm really looking forward to finishing book 1, even though I'm halfway through, is that I'd like to be able to read a bit more. And there are days when I'm going to do stuff like when I'm reading The Wandering Inn, and I'm like, right, I've got to go buy something at the shop or whatever, and so that could be in that future when I get at least 10 more episodes in. Well, no, it's probably like 15 episodes in. When I finish book 1, I'll be able to make these videos a bit more like vlogs, because I'll go places and do stuff, and it'll be a bit more visually interesting. 99% of my reading time is sat on this sofa, but I do listen to audiobooks when I'm out and about. So if you are interested in that, then I am really hoping to be able to offer that in the future. With diversion. So yeah, a good chapter. I really liked spending time with Ryoka, and I like that despite how rude and standoffish she is, everybody likes her, which is quite funny. And I really want to see more of I believe they're called the Horns of Hammerand, the adventurer company. It feels like we're being set up to see more of them. So it'd be good to get that, and I'm looking forward to it. In terms of this week's chapters overall, very good. Not as good as last week, because last week's were very dramatic and very emotional. And while the first chapter this week was quite emotional and gave us a lot of really good world building, the second chapter was really kind of a bit more of a character focus and a catch up with Ryoka, letting us know where she is and what's going on with her after her accident. So good to see that. Very interesting that Ryoka is very clearly rich from being such a good runner, because Gary's like, oh, I can't afford books, and Ryoka's got a stack of books. So that was quite fun. Looking forward to next week. The next chapter is also a Ryoka chapter. Again, like I said, I wish I could read that one, but I do have other stuff to do today. And unfortunately can't just sit and read all day. But yeah, next chapter looks really good because it's Ryoka, obviously. I think next week, let's have a look through here. Oh, next week's chapters might only be one chapter next week, because the next Ryoka chapter is a 10,000 word chapter, almost 9,500. It's a 9,500 word chapter. So next week we may only get one chapter in. I will try and set aside some extra time so that I can actually read both that one and the next Erin chapter, which is 7,500 words, 6,500 words. Might just be able to do it. I think that ideally the limit for these videos is going to be kind of what we had today, where it's 13,000 words ish. But then if next week's one has to go up to 16,000, maybe I will be able to set aside some extra time and work back later in the evening. I record this during my lunchtime. So work back a little bit of time in the evening, which I don't normally do, but maybe I could do for next week. So if you've been watching the Wandering Inn, if you haven't watched the Wandering Inn series, if you're coming into this episode and this is your first one, there's 9 other episodes of me talking about the Wandering Inn, and a lot of them I end up a lot of the early ones, because the chapters are shorter, I'm able to talk about 5 chapters in a time, so that's pretty fun. Now I'm trying to push at least 2 a week, because that's the speed that Pirate Abba writes. Although, like I was saying about the audiobook and the ebook, so when I'm able to get to book 2, and I can read with the ebook and audiobook, and kind of swap between the two, you'll probably see a few more chapters a week than this, simply because I will be able to, like, for example, when I go and do the food shopping on the weekend, I always listen to an audiobook. And that's like 2 hours worth of reading that currently is on other audio stuff, but this time, from once I hit volume 2, could be Wandering In. So that could speed up the progress quite a lot. And it also make the vlogs a bit fun, and like they'll be quite fun because I'll be able to do like walking, sat in the car, wait outside, outside the shop after I've done the shopping, and I can talk about the chapters I just read and stuff like that. So I think that'll be a lot more dynamic. I have been considering taking, because I've got some extra days off to use in the beginning of the year, taking a day off and just reading loads of Wandering In, like the whole day, and just like reading, making a video, reading, making a video, reading, making, and like make like 5 or 6 videos in a day, and then those will be batch released over time, but giving myself kind of pushing forward so that we're getting closer to book 2. And maybe if I am able to do that, we'll do 2 episodes of Wandering In a week, or something interesting like that. Let me know if you guys are loving these videos. I, as always, like making them. I have a lot of fun reading The Wandering In. It's so different to what I'm reading, especially like at the moment I'm reading The Prophet of Adan by Philip Chase, which is this kind of blend of modern fantasy, kind of like, your Sandersons of the world, and classic Tolkien-esque fantasy, and I'm really enjoying it, and I would recommend it. But that's not what you're here for. You're here for The Wandering In. And if you are here for The Wandering In, I will see you next Thursday. If you are a fan of the whole channel and all of the books that I'm reading, tomorrow's video is the weekly recap, which is everything that I've been up to this week. So I'll catch you tomorrow.